I just wanted to go to ANO recommendations. On the 11th of October 21, Airservices releases a statement from its Board of Directors confirming they've all accepted the 4 recommendations put forward by the Aircraft Noise Ombudsman in his investigation of noise complaints in Brisbane, and I am obviously been engaged with this community, as you know, Mr Harfield, for a while, well, since taking over the shadow portfolio responsibilities. Can you please provide an update on the progress made in implementing recommendations 2, 3 and 4?
I'll ask Mr Curran to answer that question, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator Peter Curran, Airservices Chief Customer Experience and Strategy Officer. Thank you, Senator. The recommendations that you're referring to, I understand, have all been closed by the ANO, but I would like to take on notice to confirm the detail of all of those. Unfortunately, I haven't got the ANO recommendations with me.
Luckily, thanks to my fabulous staff who are still hard at work. Shout out. Just to remind you, so
11 anyway.
Well, we'll see, Senator Still. Recommendation 2 was Airservices review the effect of its managerial separation of flight path design, environmental assessment and community engagement, and implement a management structure that includes these functions under the same manager or demonstrates how effective community engagement is incorporated into the flight path change process under the current structure.
Yes, Senator.
So either keep doing it how you're doing it and justify it, or make some significant changes about it. So can you give us confidence about that?
Senator, yes. The ANO has closed that recommendation, and I'm happy to provide on notice a detail of exactly what Airservices has undertaken to do that. But in general
terms... So I want to be really super specific.
Yes.
Okay, are you still doing it like you were?
No, Senator. We've made a number of significant changes, including the way in which we engage communities. We've done work on our flight path design principles, and we've since developed a community engagement standard, which we're consulting communities nationally on at present. But I can confirm that the ANO has closed that recommendation, and we can provide further and better information on the specifics of that.
Just for the sake of those following along at home, on what grounds can the ANO close the recommendations?
On the basis that we provided
They're satisfied, they're completed.
Correct. Documentation that explains how we've responded in detail to that recommendation, and the ANO
Is it like... So we do Senate committee reports, we present them to the Senate, the government responds to these Senate reports. Doesn't mean they're going to do everything the Senate committee particularly recommends at any given time. The ANO, when they close this, is it a bit like noting your response, or do they accept that your response is an adequate response?
If the Senator, the ANO will not close it until they are satisfied that it's met the intent.
Perfect. Okay, I look forward to that question on notice. Thank you. My second question, budget to advertise engagement sessions. So in the previous estimates, you reported that you made $111 million in revenue from Brisbane Airport alone in the last financial year. That was evidence to last estimates?
That would have been the portion of the revenue received would have, from the flights going into Brisbane, would have been under 11 million.
That's as I took it. You'd spent $11 million on consultants, and you'd allocated $15 million to implement the recommendations arising from the post-implementation review in Brisbane. That was the evidence given then. On the 12th of April this year, Airservices released a schedule of 13 drop-in sessions for communities to raise concerns with the noise sharing proposal as part of the Noise Action Plan for Brisbane. Is that correct?
That's correct, Senator.
Thank you. I've been advised that residents are concerned that these 13 sessions were not only very poorly advertised, particularly considering that new suburbs will now be affected. How did we advertise these?
Thank you, Senator. We undertook a number of activities to raise community awareness about these consultation sessions, and I'm just looking for the numbers specifically on that and the process we undertook. So we undertook the sessions at 13 locations. As you said, we had more than 850 attendees at them, and we just bear with me. Okay, the advertising, the activities that we undertook for these 13 sessions included notifications to communities through our Engage website, which has an outreach to 1,700 subscribers.
1,700?
1,700 subscribers.
1,000, so Engage. Okay, so 1,700 subscribers. How many impacted households are in this area?
Senator, I'd have to take that on notice because there's a number of communities, but if I can run through, there's quite an extensive.
Are we talking like a couple of thousand, or are we talking tens of thousands?
It's tens of thousands, Senator, across Brisbane.
And we've advertised it on something with 1,700. Okay, no worries, keep going.
We did outreach through our through those who we hold in our database that have previously made complaints, which is 3,312. We distributed information through a letter and social media tile for sharing to state and federal members. On the 20th of April, we launched the Noise Action Plan for Brisbane, community feedback, and we did that through a range of media inquiries. We held a press conference on the 21st of April, which was attended by TV channels 7, 9 and 10. ABC also covered the story, but without interviewing Airservices. We held a media interview on the 10th of May at the Toombul Community Session, which was attended by Channel 7. And then we advertised in a number of newspapers, including the Courier Mail. We placed 2 advertisements in a new farm.
A full page advertisement in the Courier Mail? Page 2?
I'd have to take that on notice. I have got a copy of it.
Up in the back in the...
It wasn't up in the back. It's probably somewhere between the two, I would say, Senator.
Okay, I'd like that on notice.
We advertised in the new farm, so these are targeted into areas where we know that communities will be impacted or potentially impacted by the options that we're consulting on. The New Farm Village News, the Kenmore Local Bulletin, the Moreton Bay Sentinel, Ipswich News Today, Logan West News, My City Logan, and the Village Pump Sanford. We also advertised on Facebook, which included online advertising targeting the geographic locations of the 13 community meetings that we were conducting.
How many followers do you have?
We advertise that through Facebook groups, and the information I have is that the population that reaches is 1 to 2 million. That's fairly broad, but that's what we were aiming to reach. We also use local Facebook groups. We undertook some consultation as a part of the post-implementation review, which we closed out in December last year. And that consultation, we specifically asked communities, how can we consult better, understanding that we were going to be going through this noise action plan over the next year or so. And the feedback we got was to use local Facebook groups. So we engage with local Facebook groups, and there's, I think, 30 or just over 30 local Facebook groups. I have a list of those. I can provide that on notice.
No, on notice, that'll be fine. So how much in total did that advertising spree cost?
$191,551, including GST.
Thank you. Airservices, you confirmed you'd received noise complaints from people across 134 suburbs in estimates 21-22.
Okay.
And in estimates 22-23, that figure increased to 226 suburbs. Are they only Brisbane suburbs? Are they noise complaints across different states?
Senator, I'd want to take that on notice, if I may, but I believe that would be across a national frame, not just Brisbane.
Could you just take, so we can break that
Thank you.
Down as to where Brisbane Airport has been to others. And if you could break that down by a monthly number of complaints received online, by phone, by post, and list the suburbs in which the complainants live, if that data is available.
Just to confirm, you just want the method that we've received the complaints.
And the number by month.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. Just following up on my Quan 99, return to that. I just want to seek clarification. I'll wait till you've got it, gentlemen, because it is around a quote.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So in the answer, the phrase "the management of community and political responses" is from the key messages document. Is that correct? So I'll read the whole quote.
Yeah, thank you.
To enable long-term growth at Brisbane Airport Corporation must maintain the ability to operate with minimal operational constraints. This will be achieved through the management of community and political responses to increased aircraft noise complaints and the balanced optimisation of flight path operations for noise benefit and efficiency.
Senator, I think that's correct, yes.
Yeah, okay. So how are you currently managing community and political responses?
Senator, as referenced in the Quan response, management of community and political responses in relation to the stakeholder feedback and the engagement process through the Brisbane new parallel runway post-implementation review process. So that process was completed in December last year. The post-implementation review was published and made reference to all of the recommendations that were in that review to form what's called the noise action plan for Brisbane. That noise action plan for Brisbane, we're currently going through 3 tranches of community engagement this calendar year. We have just completed the first tranche, which was the 13 community engagements you were referring to just previously, and that process involved going out to communities with a range of options to see ways that we can reduce or minimise the impact on communities of aircraft operations noise. We're taking that feedback through our process to understand which of the options we can take forward and potentially implement. We're also engaging with the community forum which has recently been established for Brisbane, the Brisbane Airport Community Airspace Advisory Board. That board had its first meeting on the 18th of May, is chaired by the former Aircraft Noise Ombudsman Ron Brent and consists of 5 community members along with participants from Airservices, the Department, Airlines and Brisbane Airport Corporation. So we're continuing to engage extensively with communities and elected representatives to understand how we can continue to minimise or find ways to minimise the impact of aircraft noise.
Thank you. Have you learnt anything from your Brisbane experience that you're taking to Sydney now that the New South Wales election's over? Hansard note the wry smile.
Senator,
you don't have to answer it.
Senator, thank you. I think we've taken an enormous amount of learnings out of the Brisbane process. As we mentioned, I think at the last estimates, perhaps the biggest learning has been the fact that we haven't in this country had a national community engagement standard for aircraft noise, and so there's been a significant amount of work gone into developing a draft standard. We're consulting nationally on that at present. We've invested in a range of national and local media, newspaper and social media activities to build awareness with communities, and we're now conducting a series of face-to-face workshops over the next 6 weeks or so, and then there'll also be a series of virtual workshops to be able to extend that outreach so we can understand what good looks like from a community engagement viewpoint as it relates to aircraft noise, and that will become core to how we work going forward.